Well, never ceases to be a silent night here at Griggs Farm, sitting there eating supper, and that car sitting there left the highway, came through the ditch, and went through the fence, and is now blocking my route to the next field. Don't really know what's going on, but I did call the police department, and we'll wait and let them deal with this mess. All right, I did some studying of my cotton picker Bible last night, looking through all the schematics, trying to figure out why this wheel position sensor was not working. And yesterday when I was testing voltages and everything back here on the plug, according to the DTAC, these two orange wires right here going into this plug supposed to have 5 volts on them. I was getting 5 volts on one, but I was only getting like 2 and like 2.5 on the other, and it was kind of fluctuating. And then if you look at these wires, the green and the light blue, the voltages on those were supposed to change as we turned the steering wheel. As I rotate the potentiometer, this green wire was showing voltage changes just like it should. However, the blue wire was not. So anyway, I got to looking at the schematic here. And you look right here, here's the rear wheel sensor potentiometer. And you notice we had 6 wires on the plug, but here in the schematic, it's only showing 3 wires. And these 3 wires is not where I was getting the right voltages. Let's see, wire number 1223 and 1221. Let's see, your orange wire, I believe, is 1223, and the blue wire is 1221, whereas that brown wire there is a ground. And we were getting 2.5 volts on the power wire when we should have had 5. And on the 1221, we were not getting any voltage change, whereas these other 3 wires, I was getting everything perfect. Well, where were those other 3 wires in the schematic? I mean, it's going to the crop wheel sensor. You know, how come it's not in the schematic? Well, it turns out those 3 wires that were working correctly go to the controller that controls the differential lock. So we're getting 2 sets of steering signals through this harness. 3 of the wires go to the auto track controller, and then 3 of the wires go to the differential lock controller. Well, we were getting perfect signal on the differential lock controller, but we were not getting good signal on the auto track controller, which was causing our problems. And because of that, I originally thought the sensor was bad. Well, we weren't getting voltage changes on that one wire. So anyway, went back to my schematic. This 1223 right here wire ties in with this 1223 wire that goes up here to the crop sensor potentiometer, which is on the front header. So those wires are tied together, and they all go back to this X230 controller right there. So anyway, we were getting low voltage on that 1223 on the back. And then I probed this wire right here, which is our crop sensor, the same 1223 wire. We were getting very close to the same voltage up here as we were back there. And then looking up here in the monitor, when we moved our crop sensor right here, we weren't getting any voltage change either. So what that told me is that we had a voltage problem coming from the controller going to both sensors, and if it doesn't have the right voltage, that's why we weren't getting any kind of output from those sensors, and it was making everything go haywire. So I went back here to the controller. This is our steering controller, and both of those 1223 wires go in right here. So anyway, I run a continuity test to figure out which one of these wires, because they change colors. And anyway, it was this yellow wire here, and it was showing the same. And anyway, it was showing the same low voltage as what both my sensors were. So what that tells me is that we got a problem with the controller now, because it's not sending out the right voltage. We don't have a problem in the wiring harness or anything, no pinched wires. We don't have a problem with the sensor because all the readings came up the same. Our controller, for whatever reason, is not putting out the correct voltage on that wire going to both of those sensors. So anyway, I unplugged it, made sure there wasn't any problems with the pins, and plugged it back up, and then lo and behold, we now have 5 volts up here and on the back. Now, I don't know if we fixed it. Maybe it was a bad connection of the pin, or the controller just all of a sudden decided to start working properly or whatever. I don't know that. We'll have to run it. But right now, we're getting the right voltages, and we're getting a voltage change on our other wire when we move this sensor and when we turn the rear steering wheel. So everything is functioning like it should. Now, whether it stays that way when we go to picking, I don't know. But if it was just maybe a bad connection on the plug and unplugged it and plugged it back in, fixed our problem. If it doesn't act up again, that was a problem. If it starts acting up again in the field, losing voltage, then most likely, I gotta assume our controller is bad. So anyway, I've got to call in to see price and availability on that. But if that steering sensor was $2,355, I don't even want to know what that freaking controller is, but we'll find out. So anyway, the reason I showed all that is for those of y'all running these pickers. I know the auto track can be an issue on them, and just to help you do a little bit of a diagnosing on it before you go out and spend $2,300 on a sensor that you can't replace, because as soon as you plug it in, most places won't take back electronic parts if you find out that that's not the problem. So again, to diagnose this properly, these 2 orange wires are supposed to have right at 5 volts going in, and then on the other side, the light blue and the dark green wires, they're supposed to have voltage on them, but it's supposed to fluctuate. If you take this potentiometer off and just twist it a little bit, the voltage on these 2 wires is supposed to go up and down depending on which way you rotate it. Now, if you test it and you've got 5 volts on both those wires going in, but then you don't get the voltage changing when you twist the potentiometer on those 2 wires, then you've either got a problem with your wiring harness there or a problem with the sensor. And guys, I can't stress enough how much getting one of these diagnostic manuals, I mean, for these pickers, they are worth their weight in gold. I can't remember how much it costs. I don't know, $700-800. You can get it on the CD-ROM, but when it comes to something like this, I much prefer when I've got to flip back and forth looking for connectors, looking at instructions, looking at schematics. When I got to flip back and forth, you know, I can find the different places, mark them, and that way I can easily reference them and go back and forth to figure out what the problem is. All right, we got everything serviced, used right off. Let's see if our auto track works now. Looky there, it's back working again. Well, we'll see how long it actually lasts. Last couple of days, I mean, when it's been messing up, I mean, it showed up right there on the front end. So let's just pray that, you know, it just wasn't making good connection there at the controller, and plugging it and unplugging it just happened to be the fix. I tell you what, if it hadn't been for that cotton picker Bible, I mean, my only choice would have been to either have a service call at, I don't know what, $125, $150 an hour, whatever it's up to now. You know, it wouldn't have taken very long to rack up a big charge of that, or I could just throw money at parts until I just happened to fix it. You know, sensor $2,300. Well, I didn't fix it. What's the next thing I replace? Controller, wiring harness. You know, you start getting into some big bucks there, and you know, before you know it, you spend a lot of money, and there's still a chance you haven't solved the problem. Now, it's a whole lot easier to get a service call, but you know, that diagnostic and repair manual that I bought, it's paid for itself multiple times over by, you know, allowing me to, you know, read schematics, test things out. The biggest part of the manual is electronic diagnosing, because this picker is completely full of electronics, sensors everywhere, wires everywhere. And, you know, if I didn't have the schematic, I never would have known exactly where that wire goes, where it ties in, where it goes to the controller. You know, there's I think 6 different plugs on that controller. So my advice in this modern equipment is any equipment you got, get the diagnostic and repair manual, because it can save you big bucks. And learn how to read it. No, learn how to read a wiring schematic and everything, because I guarantee you it will save you money in the long run. But unfortunately nowadays, you know, a diagnostic and repair manual will only help you so much, because the newest stuff that they're coming out with, you have to be able to plug your laptop up to it and, you know, have the software to be able to get a lot of readings and stuff. Now, a lot of people talk about right to repair, so, you know, thinking you don't have the ability to, you know, have that software and repair yourself. I mean, you do. I'm pretty sure you can purchase the electronic program, I think it's Service Tool from John Deere, to be able to tie into the Canvas system and get all the readings, but it's going to cost you a fee every year. I know on CNH you can purchase the EST, but again, it's a yearly leasing cost, and it's like $1,500 per piece of equipment that you got to be able to lease it. So I mean, that kind of stuff is available. I do know that new CNH EST is available online as a bootleg copy, but and I've got one of those, but you're probably downloading it from some computer in India, so I mean, who knows what kind of can of worms you're going to open up there. It's worked out well for me, but you never know when you're buying that bootleg stuff. But if you can get all those tools, learn how to use all those tools yourself. I mean, you can do anything these technicians can, and a lot of times at a fraction of the cost. Hang on, I keep forgetting to hit my auto steer button. I haven't used it in a couple days. Well, hopefully we will now have a long, peaceful day in this cab without that freaking alarm constantly going off. Hopefully I'll have auto steer. Hopefully I can get the drone up in the air and get some more good drone shots this year. Watch my crop sensor voltage and my wheel angle sensor voltage. I mean, staying perfectly where it needs to be. I mean, you can see it moving slightly as the sensor readings change. All right, now I'm going to turn to the left. Watch that wheel angle sensor voltage. Just perfect there. All right, now we're going to straighten back out. Back straight on the road. That's what she's supposed to look like. Oh, and while I was diagnosing this morning, I just called and checked on a controller about availability and price, because I had my doubts that it was just the plug. All right, that wheel angle sensor was $2,355. Just how much do you think the controller is? I guarantee you're not even close to what it is. I mean, you think a controller being, you know, basically a computer, be a heck of a lot more expensive than just a simple sensor. Wheel angle sensor, $2,355. A road track controller for this, $1,240. Now, in what universe does that make sense? The controller is way more involved, way more complex, way more to it than a freaking potentiometer is. I'd love to sit in at the meetings at John Deere where they decide how they price things. All right, we just finished this hill that we started last night, and remember when I was over there in that area, it's showing you how great the yield was, and consistently year after year. Ignore the bars on the screen, that's the refresh rate of the screen. But anyway, that area that's so good right there, you see that green, look how much higher it is than the rest of it. You see we had pitiful yield there. You know, it was okay right in there, but right in there was that one area I was telling you was so good, and has been year after year after year. Now look at the final average of this farm cord yield monitor, 670, which we got another field down this way that was absolutely pitiful. But if it hadn't been for that one spot, I mean, we might be looking at a farm average closer to 600 pounds. Well, y'all remember how much of a fit kudzu gave me in corn harvest? It don't affect cotton pickers near as bad as combines. Got no augers or anything to for the kudzu to wrap around, and the spindles just go right through it. Normally don't give us any problem unless we get a whole big wad that the snouts catch on and starts pushing it up. But other than that, cotton pickers breeze through kudzu pretty dang easy. Pretty dang good cotton for the year. This would be, say, about average cotton in a normal year, but for this year, this bottom's freaking outstanding. Now, by the time we get done with this bottom, and hopefully it averages up there around 1,050 or so, this might be the only field of cotton that we have that comes really, really close to breaking even. The way I figure it, at today's current market price, no premium on grade, no seed check from the gin, it's going to take around 1,050, 1,060 pounds per acre just to break even. That ain't no profit. That's strictly breaking even. And hopefully this field will do it. Now, that being said, if we can get a 2 to 3 cent premium on grade, maybe another 2 to 3 cent seed check from the gin, then our break-even yield goes down quite a bit, and we might actually make a little profit. But from everything I'm hearing on grades, there's no premium grades this year. The color's off. There's problems with the micronair, the staple lengths, the staple strengths, and everything else just from the drought. The fiber qualities we need to get a premium on our cotton just aren't there so far. I haven't gotten any grades back from the gin yet, what's been gin, so I don't have any idea what ours is going to be like. But December cotton futures have been hovering in that 62 to 68 cent range for pretty much all year long, and so just figured an average 65 cents per pound. It's going to take about 1,050, 1,060 to break even. This field might do it, but the vast majority of my other farms ain't going to do it. We're going to lose some big bucks on cotton this year. But I'll worry about that for another day. I'm just having a dang big old time just going up and down these long straight rows, pumping out module after module. Kelly's having to earn her keep today. She's not doing any sitting around and waiting. By the time she gets a module hauled off, I already got another one waiting on the ground for her. She's been staying busy today.
Welcome to a beautiful Thursday afternoon. It is 1 p.m. It is October 16th and it is 85 degrees outside. It's my kind of weather. Let me give you a little inside information out here. So, came down here and I saw Matt parked on the side, right over there. And I came down here and I thought, oh no, he's probably broke down. But then when I pull up, I'm like, no, he's not broke down. And I'll tell you how I know he's not. You see that leg right there? You see his leg? Yeah, that means he's on lunch. So I'm good to go. I don't have to get out. I don't have to holler on the radio. That leg propped up on that window means Mr. Matt Griggs is having his lunch. And it's a good lunch today because his wife went to Subway. Look, leg up on there. See, told you, leg up on there. How's that sandwich? That's it? That's all I get is a thumbs up? That's all I get is a thumbs up? No, thanks for thinking of me because I'm tired of eating ham sandwiches. You're welcome! Also got me a salad too.
We're moving on along in this bottom here. We don't have, I don't know, about 11, 12 more acres. We'll have it wrapped up. When we get up here to the other end, we're going to stop. We got several things we need to do, and it very rarely ever lines up like this, but we're just about out of water, so we need to fill up the water. Kelly's bringing the water wagon down. I know my 6-hour greasing is getting real close. We just used our last wrap on that roll, so we need to change wrap, and we need to clean off the moisture pads and the doffer cut off before we start having choke ups. So we're going to take a few minutes, get all that done, and rather than having to stop and get off the machine and do this and do that and really dragging down the efficiency, hopefully we'll get all that done and we'll be good to go the rest of the afternoon. We made some pretty dang good progress today, and I'd like to finish out the day strong, get this field done, and get moved over to border cable, and at least get it opened up, ready for a good hard day tomorrow. Cause we got weather coming in. Ryan Hall's been telling us for a couple days. Looks like Saturday we're gonna have storm system come through, potentially some severe weather, but definitely some rain. Now whether it's going to be during the day on Saturday or Saturday night, I don't know, but we need to get this cotton out. I mean, it don't need to go through any weather. We've got absolutely no yield to be giving away to weather. We don't want to be giving any quality away to weather. I mean, we need every penny from it that we can get, and if it goes through a rain event, it's not going to be worth what it was before the rain event. There ain't no two ways about that. So we need to put as many bales of cotton up under wrap as what we possibly can. Well, looks like Kelly's got the water truck down here, but timed it just about right. So we're going to get down, give this thing a quick servicing, and be ready to go again. All right, we finally back running here. That took a little longer than I thought to get everything. Service got to clean out the heads, and noticed I had a problem with some spindles on a few of the drums. Because to find out, starting to have some those moisture tips get clogged up. So that take time to clean all them out, make sure they's all spraying real good. I think everything's good to go. I think we're good for the long haul tonight. And I'm telling you what, it takes a lot to keep these daggum cotton pickers going. It never seems like you get a full day in, because there's usually something you gotta work on or adjust first thing in the morning, and then goes throughout the day. You know, you gotta clean out, you gotta load wrap, fill up with water. Then, like you say, a problem with the head, you know, you gotta pay attention to that kind of stuff. It's not like a combine to where once you get serviced in the day, you can just run all day long unless you have, you know, a breakdown or something. I don't think folks that aren't, you know, actually in the cotton harvesting industry realize just how much work it takes to keep these pickers going each and every day. It's all part of the game, though. All right, we just finished this farm up.
Was it food or what?
What?
I have food!
All right, I'll drop this over here. We got a bunch of marshmallows out there. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. I think Kelly's got 2 more down there in the bottom. I got 1 on the back, so 23 rolls off this farm. All right, so 44,590 pounds off 44.57 acres. If my guesstimate's right on how many bales is per module, that's right at 1,000 pounds an acre. I mean, like 1,000, right on the money. So we'll find out what the gen report is. Could be more, could be less. Well, never ceases to be a silent night here at Greg's farm, sitting there eating supper, and that car sitting there left the highway, came through the ditch, and went through the fence, and is now blocking my route to the next field. Don't really know what's going on, but I did call the police department, and we'll wait and let them deal with this mess. Well, so much for getting more done tonight. My hope was to get a few acres done on border cable, but that car was blocking the way to get over there. And yeah, I could have broke this thing down, got on the 4-lane, gone down and gone around, but I don't like doing that at night. Dangerous. Not to mention we had to stick around, make sure the driver didn't leave the scene, because he was trying to leave the scene before the cops showed up, because, well, you can imagine he wasn't entirely legal in driving on the roads. Anyway, we did manage to get all the heads cleaned out, get a head start on servicing this thing tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow we can get started early, don't have any problems, and have a heck of a day running, because I got about 80 acres there on border cable. I sure would like to get done before I go home tomorrow night. But anyway, we'll see you back out here in the morning.